Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from irishsportsdaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flamong, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uwayama, Mr. Jamie U University. It is May 9th, Thursday, May 9th, and we are going to do a hot take show. It's hot take week, apparently, Jamie, and so we plan to do a hot take show on Tuesday, and then the hot takes came in flowing yesterday, so it really works out. So we're gonna do some. It's a fun off-season thing that we do. Just throw out some takes about the Notre Dame football team or college football in general, whatever it may be. Get the people talking, get the juices flowing a little bit. So that's what we're going to be doing. If you like what you hear today, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know whatever it is. We are going live. Links to the podcast are in the description below. And before we get going, Jamie, we have a huge announcement for everyone, for the Hit and Hustle fam. Last month we did a Play Like a Champion from ESQ Clothing, the Play Like a Champion sport coat, sport jacket, game day jacket. It was on sale. It was a limited sale for a weekend, $495, marked down from $795. It's a huge deal, 40% off for Hit and Hustle customers. Here is the jacket right here. And we've got Ge in the chat. He did a very nice thing. He's extending it to all of May. He's extending it through the end of May. You can get this jacket. You know what's coming up, Jamie? Do you know what is around the corner?
Father's Day.
Father's Day is around the corner, Jamie. This is a perfect Father's Day gift for your dad, for your husband, for your brother, for whoever it may be. It's a great jacket. Players wear it on the player walk. And this is a great sport coat to wear for a Notre Dame fan in your family. So you're going to want to contact a toner, ATOERNER at esqclothing.com, or give him a call at 312-757-8500. That's 312-757-8500 to get 40% off on this game day. Great. Jamie, I'm asking you, does it look
amazing? You cut out for a second, so I didn't. It does look amazing. Yeah, like, I mean, I think it's this is the kind of thing that would actually perfect Mother's Day gift. Where, by the way, too, Mother's Day this weekend. Don't forget, everyone.
Don't forget.
Hook up your wives, hook up your moms. Don't be that guy who Mother's Day. You know, spoil the mothers out there. They deserve it.
Yeah, so this special is going to, again, it's going to be going on through the end of May. So you're going to want to take advantage of that. It's a huge deal. And so many people jumped on board in the weekend that we did it. They extended the sale for the rest of the month. So take advantage. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Jamie, do you think Notre Dame, before we get going, hot take, I'm going to throw it out there. Do you think Notre Dame is a top 30 program in 2024? Do you think they're going to be ranked in the top 30? What say you about that?
Well, it depends if we're talking summer rankings or if we're talking rankings in the season. This was like the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Just admit that you forgot this. So, all right, for everyone who missed it, I think his name is pronounced
Brandon
Marcello.
Brandon Marcello, yeah.
Put out a top 30. It's pretty clearly obvious he just forgot to put Notre Dame in there. He was probably looking at a list of conferences. You know, it happens, man. Take the L. Just say you made a mistake. I would have put him 13 or wherever he wants to put him.
Remake the graphic. That's another thing.
Graphic.
Remake the
graphic. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be that too hard for the graphics people from 24/7 Sports to be able to do that. Kind of change it up a bit. Just, you know, I think they have pretty stationary graphics. They're not getting too wild with Photoshop. So I think they would be able to do that in. But it's pretty obvious based on the fact that he listed other teams to watch, and it was like they weren't even on there. Like, give me a break. And then his reasoning was, for lack of a better term, nonsense. Like his
Yeah,
reasoning, not including them, it was just like, just say you don't know anything about the team. You didn't really follow what's going on, which is, I get it. This is like it. This is the impossibility. It's not being a national person in the NFL is a national reporter for the NFL is not the same as college football. It's a much more difficult job. I'm not saying it's not a difficult job being a national reporter in college football, because there's over 100 teams that you have to know. And definitely, like, I don't expect any of these guys to like be able to tell me, um, list the starting defense for James Madison. You
right.
know, I don't expect that from a national reporter, right? But if maybe know one or two names of guys who are good on James, that's fine, whatever, right? Do whatever. But you know, when you consider that all these guys are like, yeah, man, I got so excited that I got the Phil Still preview because they need it, because they don't even bother to Google. Like, look it up, man. It's not that hard. He said, yeah, the slow start on offense for Notre Dame last year. What? It was.
Was that like a later explanation for what was
Yes.
going on?
Too,
That's crazy. That's
too,
insane.
too many. Here's it. Why don't Notre Dame? Too many new pieces at crucial spots, quarterbacks and wide receivers. Let's ignore for a second that Michigan, USC, LSU, Florida State, pick a team, Miami, out of
Yeah.
all these teams that he has listed, are breaking in new quarterbacks and wide receivers. So just ignore that for a second, okay? Ignore that for a second. But then he loved the coaching late last season. What? Please add more context to
Love the
this.
coaching. And
What?
then they improved on the coaching. They improved on the coach.
Uh,
The part that you actually liked is the thing that's gotten better.
I
This
had a
stuff.
very hard time deciphering what to expect and choose to keep with them from early summer. And then he went on about how they, they started slow, and it took a long time for the quarterback and receivers to adjust. Not to mention, it's like, well, they didn't add new receivers last year. It was like they were young and inexperienced and
Right.
were not healthy. So that was the story there. And Sam Hartman, the first month of the season, people were prematurely talking about him for Heisman. They did not start slow. I promise you. If you looked at what his numbers in the first 4 games were, people would have said he was going to throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. That's what, because they put up
Yeah.
40 in every game. They never even finished the games. I don't think he threw a pass in the fourth quarter in the first, other outside of NC State, like in 3 of the first 4 games, right? And obviously they're playing
Mhm.
cupcakes, but like they were killing them. Like the offense, it's like, if if he had said, man, I really didn't like how the offense looked during that stretch of Duke, Ohio State, blah, 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 whatever, right? At least it would have shown that he watched the games, that he kind of knew what was going on. And I'm not even saying these guys don't actually watch the games. They watch the highlights.
Yeah.
They're whatever. They're doing that. But at least it would have pretended like you were paying attention to what was going on, you know? Um, like the coaching at the end of the year, I suppose he probably saw the Dan Orlovsky clips and was like, man, what a great job Al Golden did. But he obviously didn't watch the noon kick, Clemson game or whatever, like where people were livid about the coaching in
Mhm.
that game. And also, maybe a national college football reporter should know this. They hired a new offensive coordinator.
Pretty big, pretty famous one. Like pretty big
His
one.
name is Mike Denbrock. He's making a pretty good amount of money. He coached the guy who won the Heisman last year. Don't know if he's heard of him, Jaden Daniels. Had a couple first round receivers there. Feels like would have been a relevant thing to mention. I don't know how they're going to adjust to Mike. Like And then he was like, here's what I wrote or whatever. He clicked, here's what I wrote about Notre Dame, which was like a whole bunch of fluff, of like 400 words of fluff
Yeah.
that made no sense whatsoever. You're a national college football reporter. Don't be an analyst if you're not. Just don't. Break news. And I don't even know if he's good at breaking news or whatever. And I honestly, I don't even think he was doing it to troll, because people think that it was like a troll thing. Like they're doing it because they're trying to get clicks for Notre Dame. It was just a graphic. It wasn't even a link to the story. So they just put it up like he wanted to get ratioed. Like, I don't think so. Like, non-Notre Dame fans were like, what is this list? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't with these guys. Like, come on. Like, you know, and I do think it's a really, really tough job to be a national college football player. It's like, I really know by the time they get to the season, I know the teams Notre Dame is going to play very well. Like, I put in a lot of research into what the teams are going to play. So by the time you get into July, I really know the rosters really well. And then obviously you learn more as the season goes on, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have time to look at, all these other teams. So I wouldn't even dare even say like I'm going to make a ranking of something, because I just don't know. Like, I don't know enough about it. Like, what is I couldn't give you actual reasoning, because that was more than just, cursory stuff of that. I just knew this about this team. I was like, well, this guy's a good player. Right. But it's like, you can't even list, like, it's like, you don't even know that they're going to have a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you heard of Al Golden? Have you heard of Xavier Watts? He won the Bednarik. This guy might have voted for the Bednarik. He might have. I don't know. I don't know how the voting works, but it's a national award.
Yeah.
It's a national award. And you know that a guy who won All-American, led the nation in interceptions, he's coming back. Just FYI for him. He's coming back. Also, Ben Morrison is coming back. Howard Cross coming back. These are guys that nationally he should know the names. I don't expect him to be like, man, I have real questions about Drake Bowen or something. Like, I don't expect him to even know who Drake Bowen is, because he's a national guy, like I said. But to not know some of these other things and to point at these other stuff, it's just bad. It's a bad look all around. And it's okay. Like, people are like, it's a much worse look to pretend like, oh, I have questions about him and then list a bunch of BS reasons, than it is to just like, than it is to even just say, man, you know what? I was doing this and I just left them out by mistake because they were independent. I was just going down the list. I screwed up. They should be in there. Just take it out.
Yeah, like Notre Dame's been outside the top 30 one time in the last decade, right? So they obviously had a very good defense last year. They were 10-3 last year. They returned most of their defense. They return kind of the best players from their defense, minus the linebackers, like you said. And even if you had questions about that, like, you have a good D-line, you have a good secondary, and then you add Riley Leonard, who people think is a good quarterback, right? Like, it was a pretty hot commodity in the transfer portal. Obviously you lose the tackles, but it's like the worst Notre Dame teams have finished in the top 25, like, let alone the top 30. Like, you're not going to put them in the top 30. Like, really? Like, come on. It's not an up and coming program. Forget Notre Dame. Let's say Notre Dame was 10th, right? Why is USC 8th?
I don't know.
What?
I know.
Like, what? They have a terrible defense. They lost the Heisman Trophy winner. Speaking of losing wide receivers, they lost Tosh Washington. They lost Brennan Rice, right? They haven't replaced their offensive line situation. That's still not good, right? You lost your running back. What is that good situation, right? They didn't get a quarterback out of the portal. Like, did you love Miller Moss in that bowl game so much that's like they're going to be 8th? Like, that's honestly, like, that's kind of my biggest problem. like Texas A&M, they have a whole new program. What have they done to earn? Talk about teams that have never recently finished in the top 30. A&M is right there. They just fired their coach because they weren't that good. Now, look, if you want to like believer in Mike Elko, fine, great. But like, you can't just be like, this program that was in shambles is now good because of Mike Elko at Duke, who, by the way, was good at Duke because he had Riley Leonard. That was why. And now that player is the quarterback in Notre Dame. It's just like that. The logically, it has nothing to do with like, oh, whether or not, because what he threw out there is kind of ridiculous, right? Like, I have questions. Okay, great. They've been a top 25 program for a decade now. Above a top 25 program, frankly. They've been like more like a top 15 program for the last decade. So like, come on, man. Like that's not going to work. Like just say, hey, man, I go to your people, take down the post. Be like, hey, I'm going to put this post up. I forgot to include Notre Dame. Now they're in there. Then go about your day. It's not a big deal. It's a graphic, like you said. It's not a big thing. But then he doubled down on it and he clowned himself. And he got ratioed all over the place, which is unfortunate for him. But it is what it is. At least got people talking about him. Like I didn't really know who he was before that, so now I do. So good.
I knew who he was, but I just because he was their national reporter guy. But I mean, I haven't really seen him break stories. It's whatever. It's a tough competitive business. I don't know how. Like you're supposed to be breaking coaching stories or whatever, and all that kind of stuff, or this and that. And I mean, I don't know. I have no idea how plugged in he is with that kind of stuff. Maybe he's really good. Maybe I don't know. Right. Like that's why I don't want to just be like, this guy's trash, whatever. He might be really good at that job. I don't know. I haven't seen it from him, but I don't want to just say it without it because I just don't think that's fair. But what is fair is saying that it was a trash decision to do that and made worse by his faulty logic of keeping him out. And I would honestly respect it more if he just went full hot take and I would have said, you know what, I'm not having Notre Dame in here. I think they're going to bomb this year. And Marcus Freeman doesn't have it or something. If he just went that way or something, not that I would agree with it, but I at least would be like, okay, he's just picking a side and he's just saying it. And he thinks this is going to fall apart after whatever. Fine. But it was just, what are you talking about, man? Like it was bad. Also, like I know Bat put in there Drake Bowen. I wasn't taking shots at Drake Bowen. I'm just saying he wouldn't know who Drake Bowen is because Drake Bowen wasn't a guy who played last year. And I expect Notre Dame fans to know who Drake Bowen is going into this year. I don't expect college football casual to know who Drake Bowen is this year. Hopefully by the end of the year, they know who Drake Bowen is and whatever, right?
Just like in 21, like no one would have been like, oh, JD Bertrand's going to play linebacker for Notre Dame. That's good. Like who would know? No one would know.
No one.
Right. So that is what it is. Fun off-season fodder. Just a couple hot takes here. Jacob Hollis. My hot take is this team will have more sacks than the 2018 team, which had 34 that he puts in there. I like that take. I like it. I love it. I love it. I've said they could be special rushing the passer this year. So I'm all in on that. That's a good take that I appreciate. CFB Hertz says hot take Notre Dame is in fact a top 30 team. We're on board with that. Blaberg, hot take Anthony Knapp will be the next great Notre Dame offensive tackle.
This is what I'm talking about for hot takes. I love it, Blaberg. Like I love this. This is the kind of thing. This is I won't even call it scalding. It's a sizzling take. I love it because that it is the kind of thing that I don't think it's like crazy to think that it could happen. Yeah. I really I personally, I was a fan of Anthony Knapp as a recruit and just as a prospect and think he's got potential to be a pretty good player, right? At Notre Dame. And frankly, just like what I saw from him in the spring game and just whatever, and it's the spring game, whatever. But he was having to block Boubacar and Oben, and frankly did a pretty decent
Doing
job
stuff in there,
for a
doing
guy
stuff.
who's is a, an early enrollee true freshman. There's been a lot of early enrollee true freshmen put in those situations who were getting killed, and that was not the case. He handled himself really well. There's also, I think I tweeted it out. Whatever, it's just him picking up Jalen Sneed off the edge, and it was like very impressive. Yeah,
It stood out.
Yeah,
very much stood out. Yeah, we like what we like what we see. It's a good take. And it's one of those, like, because everyone's focused on like Lambert and Jagusaw and everything. This is a perfect hot take, Blaber. Good on you. That's good stuff. I'm gonna throw out my first one. Speaking of top 30 programs and things of that nature. So in the 2022, I guess 2021 off season, right? So post 21, Brian Kelly leaves for LSU after Lincoln Riley leaves for USC, right? And I think that when people saw, especially Lincoln Riley go, people, man, like USC is about to be on the come up again, right? They're going to be coming up on a power. And Brian Kelly's taking his experience down to LSU, and Marcus Freeman is, inheriting a program that is kind of ready-made. I think people saw it like that. But as the couple of years have gone, like there were a lot of changes that needed to come to the Notre Dame football program. And so you would have thought, man, like USC and LSU, like they kind of got the better end of that. My hot take, Jamie, Marcus Freeman is building a better program than Brian Kelly at LSU and Lincoln Riley at USC right now. If you look at the way that USC is trending, you got to be concerned if you're a USC fan, right? Everything is very portal heavy, right? I could see the first year you brought in a bunch of portal guys. They're not doing that great in the recruiting aspect of it. Their quarterback that they brought in from his first class transferred out. Ray Lake Brown, the 5-star that was going to go to Oklahoma, that transferred over, left. Mario Williams, who came over, was a 5-star freshman in Oklahoma, left. All the things that was kind of like, yeah, they're going to build off of this. It's not really happening for them, right? It doesn't look good. You've got a mismatch staff at USC on the defensive side of the ball, which maybe it's good, right, in the first year, but so many of those guys, they are not going to stick around. You have a former defensive coordinator coaching safeties and defensive backs. You have a former head coach coaching linebackers. A head coach at North Dakota State is coaching a position there. He is not going to stick around. Deonton Lynn, if they have a good season, he is going to go somewhere else. He is going to go to the NFL. This is not sustainable what they have on the defensive end. He's going to have to return that over a bunch in the next year at least. And by the way, you know how I feel about this. I think this is last year at USC. I don't think he's long for that program. I don't think he's in for the portal stuff. I don't think he likes the recruiting aspect of things. The recruiting aspect has not been what everyone kind of thought. They're coming off 7-5 with Caleb Williams. Now they're going to the Big Ten. They've got a pretty tough schedule next year. 8-4, 9-3, 7-5. That's in play again. It's in play again. And then we got Brian Kelly out here at LSU giving interviews complaining about, we're not going to buy guys. He gave like a very similar shopping down a different aisle style quote, Jamie.
Yeah.
You hate to see that if you're an LSU fan. Meanwhile, Marcus Freeman is at Notre Dame. He's recruiting well. The quarterback position is as good as it's been in a very long time, right? The recruiting, he's recruiting his roster. He's not bringing in a whole bunch of he's bringing in transfers, but it's not like wholesale, we're bringing in 20 guys each year kind of thing. He is not building his program off that. They have the new shield coming in, right? You have your quarterback. You have you're set at quarterback. Notre Dame is young on the offensive line this year, but this is a young team. They're going to the offensive line is going to build. You have your running backs. You have your wide receivers. You have your secondary. You have your coaching staff. I just think when you look at the three situations right now, Notre Dame is in a better situation from now and like 3-4 years down the line. I would much rather be in Notre Dame situation than I would be, or I'd rather be in Pete Bavacqua's situation. If I was the AD rather than I was at USC or at LSU right now. That's kind of where I see it. I think Marcus Freeman has done a better job of the other guys that got hired in that cycle in 2021.
Well, I like this hot take. I like it. The one thing I'll say that Brian Kelly, I mean, the guy just does himself no favors all the time. He's actually like really bad at the PR
He's not
part
good.
of it.
He's not good.
He's bad at the PR part
Never
of
been
it.
good. Yes.
And that was supposed to be the thing he was good at.
Yeah.
But he's been kind of bad on messaging for pretty much ever since he's been in the spotlight. He's been bad.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't handle things well. He, gets memed for a reason, right? And and then he just basically his comments kind of became like, it's a slow time in college football, and then his comments become part of the cycle because everyone kind of knows what he means by his comment. It's just like we didn't want to spend that money that these other teams did at defensive tackle. The one thing I would say though about LSU, one, I think they are probably, if they made the right changes on their defensive staff, then they are like probably going to be in a good spot to continue to be good for a while. And the fact that Saban is gone in the SEC West, and they do have like one of the top recruiting classes right now. Like they have 3 5-stars committed to them right now. I would say like you could make an argument that like, they've had their kind of early bumps, but that's kind of what Kelly had it at Notre Dame as well. And then he kind of got it figured out. And that is one thing has adjusted and done different things with his staff. And so that's something I think, we'll have to wait and see with LSU. I mean, I wouldn't give up on Kelly kind of getting it right there. But I mean, I do think I've been there with you the whole way in terms of with USC because, I mean, I saw someone put that like USC's falling apart. They're not falling apart, but they shouldn't be where they are in year 3. Like he hasn't built it because they made all these changes to the defensive staff, and it's obviously late, and that could really work out. And their back 7 is going to be way better this year. Like I really think that they did well in the portal to get good players and guys. Also, like they picked 2 pretty good DBs from UCLA that already know the system and all that. Like, so they're going to be way better on the back end, right? But they should have had, to this point, they should have defensive linemen that are like ready to go to be dudes, and they don't. And offensive line as well. Like they haven't recruited well enough there, and that's going to be like their downfall, especially because you're going to play enough teams that are just going to whoop you up front, and especially like that's why the thing too, like they're built to kind of like stop the pass on defense. And I just think by the time when Notre Dame gets to play them, Notre Dame's probably going to run all over them.
Yeah.
Like and that's kind of going to be what happens there. So I do think in this with the schedule and stuff, I think they're going to have a bad year again. And it's like, let's just say they go 8-4, right? Let's say they go 8-4. And so Riley's going to go and stick around and be on the hot seat. Like, or is he going to go to, I like, what are they're not going to fire him if he goes 8-4. I don't think he makes too much money.
They
So
won't
it's just,
fire him, but like, what's he gonna do? He's gonna go hit the portal again? Selling what to who? Like it's just like that's what I mean. It's like just not. It's just like year over year thing, and now you got to go sell yourself to transfers. Like it's just
yeah.
it's a tough situation. Like they don't have the infrastructure of the recruiting infrastructure to do it. And like I said, all those defensive, there's no way they're any like most of them are there beyond this year. They want to do other things. It's just my read of it. So I don't know. I think they're in trouble.
Yeah. I'm there with you there.
Okay, what's your let's get yours. I want a Jamie hot take coming in, and we'll get to some from the chat because we got some good ones.
Mine is Emil Wagner will win the right tackle job, and he'll be viewed as an future NFL offensive tackle by the end of the season.
Oh my. Okay. Let's
That's
hear the
my
let's hear the case.
that's my take there. One, I thought he really made strides just watching him in the spring, especially in pass pro. One, and physically too, like he looks like a different guy than he looked like, certainly since he arrived at Notre Dame, and definitely since last year. And I know there was all of the kind of you know concern about his weight and what that's at because of where he was listed, but he's fine there. Like I maybe like to be him a little bit bigger, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. Um, and I just think that the pieces are all there for him to be that. Like he is a very very talented athlete for the position, and I think he's going to be a guy that by the end of the year you're going to be talking about him and be like, this guy can play. Like he can play, and he's going to be, a quality offensive tackle for Notre Dame. And I'm not saying that what he's going to be doing is going to lead to him like people are going to talk about him going in the draft. Not like that, but basically like he is on that path where they're like he's going to play in the NFL. He's going to start the next 2 years, for Notre Dame after that too. So like he's going to be a multi-year starter and a good one for Notre Dame.
It's interesting, right? Like I think the fact that he played so well in the spring game is kind of like were they trying to keep Tosh Baker around kind of thing, just as an in case, right? And look, and maybe it's like we're also giving you a fair shot too. Like that's the other part where it's like, hey, we're not just sliding this guy in there. We're gonna give you a fair shot to actually win this job, right? But he was much better than I think I anticipated, and it was like, okay, it's almost like I'm now just mostly on like left tackle and being like, is Joggy Saw going to be all right? Like that's kind of how it was. Like I feel like there's something there, and they're gonna be all right over on that right side. This is a good take. I because I think that there's everyone's kind of been hoping for that for him, and I think just the fact that the weight was such a big issue, and now it seems to not be, and he's gotten past it. Whatever he is now, I don't know his exact number. Kind of doesn't matter. Like he's such a strong player, it seems to not matter. And I think now he has the summer to actually build on this. Lauren Landau is going to be on him, and I think for him, it's like the urgency is super there, right? Just to get ready to go. So this is a good take. This is I hadn't thought of that one, but that's good. Let's get to other ones from the chat. Caleb Collins, Minchie leads us to the semifinals this year.
Wow. Okay.
That's big time. It's tough because how does that even happen, right? Like, does he win the job over Angeli? Obviously, Riley Leonard. Like, does he get hurt? There's so much there. Stranger things, right? Like stranger things have happened. Ian Book, who would have said he's going to lead the team in 2018, even though he was the backup. Jashawn Kaiser post spring in 2015. what? Like he looked terrible, and then he was an NFL prospect. So Caleb Collins will monitor that for you. Blaberg coming in hot. He's tired of Ohio State. I'm starting to dislike Ohio State and their media fans more than Michigan. It's bad. There is a lot of like Ohio State's a big social media kind of program, which is fine, right? I can kind of see where that's true. Do you have anything on Ohio State or how if there's things you've noticed about them? I mean, they're pretty loud on social media, which is fine. It's not a
They're
big deal.
very loud. I mean, everyone I know that lives in Ohio or is from Ohio, like, and isn't an Ohio State fan, hates Ohio State fans. So that's like, that is something that is like very real. Like that,
Yeah.
um, you know, I mean, I would say I've heard way worse stories about um, Michigan fans and any time Notre Dame has played Michigan.
Mm,
Like, put it this way, Ohio State, when they came to Notre Dame this year, um, when I was at the game, it was not like there wasn't like a bad blood, like they weren't there weren't like it wasn't filled with idiots, is what I'll say. Like it wasn't
mm-hmm.
like that. It wasn't that vibe, in terms of they're part of the crowd and like they're people who were tailgating or anything like that. So I didn't really get those vibes, but I mean I will say too, like they have a lot of um this is also an extreme. I mean, I don't want to say that it's not with Notre Dame too. There's a lot of like homery Notre Dame people too, but
Yeah.
like Ohio State at Michigan, it seems like all of the local media is extremely, extremely homery. Like they're just like, so I get
Yeah.
that part about it. I could totally
Yeah.
see that if you're following some of these people on Twitter or whatever, like or X or whatever, like you would hate hate Ohio State because of it.
The thing with Ohio State that doesn't really they don't grind my gears the same kind of way is because especially now they are so focused on Michigan. And that's why I think when they came to Notre Dame, it's like they were cool because it's like, you know what? They want to win, right? Obviously. But it's like if it's like none of it matters, honestly. Win is whatever. You have to beat Michigan this year, and they didn't. And so, like for them, that like everyone that I talk to, like I have a couple Ohio State friends. It's like they were like, yeah, like we could lose to Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame could, we don't look that great right now. But it was like it kind of doesn't matter. Like you just need to beat Michigan. So I think so much of their annoyance is mostly towards like, please beat Michigan, please beat Michigan, please beat Michigan. And so so the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Like that's kind of how I view it because there'll never be anything close to how I feel about Michigan. Like there's no one at all. Even Boston College, like it's not like that. Like the '93 stuff, like no, Michigan stands alone. Here's another one from Ray Holcroft or Holcroft. It's a good one. Jadarian Price becomes a top 5 back in the country, eclipsing 1,200 yards on the ground. Excellent receiver and becomes an All-American. I think something like this is in play. I don't think it's possible without some injury to Jeremiah Love is the thing. And I don't like to predict that stuff. Okay. Do you know the situation with the North Carolina backs in the Sam Howell year in 2020? They both rushed for over 1,000.
Yeah.
Do you think that's possible? Like, could it be
No.
like Price runs for 1,200 and Love runs for like 800? Like, do you think that's in play? Do
I
you
think
think that's
that
possible?
could be possible. It's not like out of the question that it happens. But I wouldn't put it as likely. The reason why, I mean, first of all, I mean, who wouldn't enjoy this happening for Jadarian Price, especially like a guy tears his Achilles is, first year on campus when he was about to, be a guy who contributed right away. And then to go from that to be like, okay, well, he has his moment against USC and he's had some nice moments last year. And then all of a sudden you're like an All-American, like that would be just an awesome story. So that would be great if it happens. The one thing though with running backs and why I just like, so Audric Estime was awesome last year. He wasn't even a Doak Walker finalist. And I know he should have been, but he wasn't, right? Kyron Williams, phenomenal player for Notre Dame. Like, he was never an All-American. Like, it's just, you can be great and still not kind of get in that. I don't believe Kyron. Was Kyron a Doak Walker finalist? I don't remember him being.
I don't
think so, right?
Maybe.
So, I don't remember if he was. I'll double check right now. But like, I just think that it's really hard as a back because there's so many good backs and there's so many backs who put up numbers that you kind of have to go into the season with a bunch of hype.
Yeah.
To really get this is just hilarious too. So I'm just looking at he was a second team All-American in 2021. So, which deserved, obviously, right? But like, I don't know like what exactly, but that makes sense or whatever. So I guess he was kind of there, but I don't think he was a Doak Walker, but he was also the 2020. You'll never guess what award he won in 2020. Can you guess? Just give me one guess.
I don't know.
ACC Rookie of the Year.
There you go.
Yeah, which
I love that.
As we all predicted,
yeah,
Notre Dame back won an ACC Rookie of the Year, which is cool because he'll be the only guy to ever win ACC Rookie of the Year from Notre Dame. Yeah, so like it's just funny, but yeah, it's a weird thing with backs. You can be great and still not, get recognized as much as you maybe should. But so I don't know about that part, but like, hey, 1,200 yards. Hey, we'll see. Mm-hmm. I think the thing is if you're going to put up that, because you're going to have some games where you're like, well, he got like 10 carries and he got 60 yards, So it's like, well, that means some other games you got to get like 240 or something, like you got to get like other things to kind of make it up. So we'll see what happens.
I think 1,200 though, like I kind of envision a situation where it's kind of like Adams in 2017 where he just has so much room to operate because of the way they're running their offense with Riley Leonard. It's like they have to focus on him so much that he just has a bunch of games where it's like 11 for 120 or something like that. And they bust the 60-yarder, right? And like they do have a bunch of games where it's like they could accumulate stats. So like the 1,200 is not insane. Like it truly is not. All-American thing, it comes down to like things like you said, like kind of other factors. But I think the spirit of this, like top 5 back in the country, that's also kind of that's also very subjective-y. I think the most accurate part of this is the 1,200. But look, I think if he was a top 5 back, he'd probably need to have more than 1,200. He'd probably have to have like 1,500, 1,600 for something like that. But I like he's kind of on the way to something there. Like it's not completely ridiculous or anything like that. So it's like doable. It's just that some of it is too narrative-y to kind of predict there. But that's why it's a hot take, Jamie. That's why it's a hot take and a hot take show that we're doing. Here's a hot take, Jamie. You ready for this next one? Is
Yeah.
if you aren't going with VSR Media right now for your highlight reels, for your website, or for a cinematic video or photo or your headshot or anything like that, then you are leaving points on the board. You got to put points up when you can, and you need to go to vsrmediacompany.com. Founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy award-winning anchor Vahid Sadrazadeh, VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or are aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com. Mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. Got another hot take.
Here's a hot take. I'm going to put that in the top 5 SIGs.
Top 5
That was
SIGs,
smooth.
you like that?
Yeah,
it's good. Thank you.
That was smooth.
Yeah, Rajon. I hope Rajon was able to listen to the Monday or the Tuesday show. Yeah, to the Tuesday show. He had to leave early. I hope he liked that one. All right, I got another hot take coming in. Michigan's going to be bad. That's my hot take. I don't think they're going to be good. I think that last year was kind of a perfect storm of A, schedule, and B, just all these guys coming back when they didn't need to come back, right? And obviously there was this whole NIL thing, which is fine, right? Take advantage of it. It's totally legal. But I think they just had a critical mass of guys coming back, guys who are normally who are going to return anyway. Get a whole bunch of draft picks go on. They don't recruit very well. They're not a great recruiting operation. And I think they had a perfect storm situation that they capitalized on last year. And I think they're going to fall. I think they're going to fall down back to earth, 7-5, 8-4 type thing. I don't think they're going to be good. That's how I feel about it. The coaching staff is off, right? Sharon Moore was kind of, guiding the ship that was already heading in one direction. I just don't think it's going to go well for them. I don't like what they have. I don't like where they're trying to go with this. I think they're going to be bad this year, and then you hate to see that. So that's what
who doesn't love this take?
Yeah.
If you're a Notre Dame fan, I don't think they're going to be bad. I don't think they're going to be anywhere close to where they were the last few years. I don't think so. I just think the transition with the staff and the amount of losses that they had, that is going to take a toll on them. And if you look at their schedule too, I was just taking a peek. So, they do get the benefit of having 3 of these 4 at home.
Mm-hmm.
But Texas, USC, Oregon, and then they play at Ohio State to end the year. That's 4 pretty big games.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I think it's probably, 2-4 in those games, or 2-2 in those games is probably realistic.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, and who knows if they drop another one. The other thing about Michigan, they wanted some kind of close games over the years, which happens to everyone. It's not just a thing, but they won some close games against Rutgers and some of these other games that were closer than you think in previous years before, where maybe they drop one of those games now. But they still got dudes on the D line. They got they have studs in the secondary still. The defense is going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I guess it's just seeing they lost so much on the O line, and it's just how good can they be there? They still got Donovan Edwards, the new quarterback, new receivers. That's the thing. New quarterback, new receivers.
It's a big deal, Jamie. Many people are talking about that's kind of the whole thing.
I want to see what Michigan looks like with the new quarterback and new receivers before I say anything about it. That's just the way.
Hot take: Michigan, not a top 30 program. Not a top 30 program, Jamie. That's where I'm going. Michigan, not top 30 program in 2024. gotta have the wide receivers in the quarterback team, and it's not figured out. Honestly, they're not going to be good, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. So I'm pretty excited about that. All right, Jamie, where are you at?
My other one is Notre Dame. So last year, Notre Dame had two guys that rose like big in the rankings, two commits, right, in their 2024 class. Bryce Young, he jumped over 250 spots in the composite.
Yeah.
Basically. And Kedron Young jumped over 170 spots. So they were like big risers over the course of time, then obviously finished pretty high up rankings. I think there's going to be three guys in this class that are going to have kind of similar, big jumps. And one is Will Black, who kind of already has taken a little bit, but he was 389 in the composite. He's already up to 233. He's going to be a top 100 guy before it's all said and done. I just am convinced of that. I already think he is a top 100 guy, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, On3 has him as like a 5-star. And I don't know if I would go that far, but just like eventually, like 24/7 will just be like, oh, yeah, he is. Which is, it's insane to me that they have him as a 3-star, but whatever. They got there. That's where they have him. So, so he's going to go up. Joseph Rafe, who's 347. I think he's a guy who could move up into the top 150. I really do think he is one of these guys. Maybe the only thing that could hurt him is that he isn't someone right now who is going a bunch of camps. He's not like, as far as I know, he's not like throwing the discus and like breaking records doing that or anything like that. So he's not going to do stuff like that to pop during the summer. That is going to kind of make people move up with their projections. But I just think he's one of these guys, when the film comes up the senior year, I think he's going to be a monster. I mean, he was a monster obviously last year, and I think he's going to be even better as a senior. And he's going to be one of these guys where it's just going to be obvious that this guy is a dominant prospect, and he's going to be kind of viewed as such. So, top 200, top 150, I think that's going to happen. And man, I don't want to butcher. I totally forgot, because the one guy corrected us with Kia, his first name, and I don't want to screw it up. Do you remember how?
Cole.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cole Kia, Kahanu's younger brother. I don't know if anyone saw the picture of him and Marty Biaggi, their dad, the Kia's dad, and Maris Leofau up at they were visiting him at Punahou. Kia is a big dude. Like, he is almost Maris size right now, and like long like Maris and stuff too. Much bigger than Maris was at that same time. He's like, hold on, where's this thing? He is 8'19" in the composite right now, which is very typical for like, that's what happens with these guys and Hawaiian guys, because they're not out and about doing all these kind of things. But he's a stud. He's really, really good player, and I think he's someone who is going to go way up. And it would be surprising to me. I think he should finish as a composite 4-star. We'll see if it happens, but like I really think he's going to jump up hundreds and hundreds of ranking. Like he's not finishing in the 800s.
Yeah,
so it's definitely, that's for sure.
It happens every year with Notre Dame and the in Hawaii, right? They get a guy from Hawaii and they fly up the rankings, or they come in and they're good. Here, I'll throw another hot take since you brought up Kia. Kahanu Kia is going to be like a star for Notre Dame at some point. He's going to just be like, yeah, Kahanu Kia, unbelievable. Yeah, he went on his mission and now he's here. Didn't think he was ever going to play because he went on his mission. I think he's a special player. I think he knows how to play football, and I think they are going to have a role for him in some capacity where it's like he is a key star player on the defense, like pass rusher or whatever it might be. I just think he has something, and I think his brother will as well. So that's a good call. And I like the call. Like, we've seen commits make big jumps in the past, right? This isn't a thing that is rare or is kind of pie in the sky. This happens. This happens for Notre Dame a lot. So I like those players too. I think that's a good call. I mean, I don't think you can make a big jump from what like just outside the top 100 like Dallas Golden is, but like he's got to end up a 5-star. You got to put him at 5-star. He does everything. I mean, he's a 5-star caliber prospect, and if it's not going to get kind of recognized by the rankings, then they're a sham. But I already think that, so that's fine. Let's throw up some of these that people have been putting in throughout the day. I've been putting them up, but we'll just go kind of down the line. I'm going to see which ones you find to be, kind of tickle your fancy as well. Caleb Collins says, hot take, Notre Dame averages 42 points a game this year. They were just under 40 last year. So, a 2-point jump is actually fairly substantial over the course of the season. So we're talking about setting the Notre Dame record for points in a season. So that's something there. Tony Venditelli says Riley Leonard will be the second leading rusher on the team. I and another show I had him going over 1,000. So I agree. I like where Tony's coming from on this one. Let's see. Let me throw up some other ones here. Hot take: Matt McCarthy, Bodie Cahoon will be a multi-year starter and an NFL draft pick. That's a hot take. Let me see another one. All right, so those are the ones that I've seen. Of those that I put up, which one kind of tickles your fancy? Is like, yeah, I dig it.
Definitely the Leonard one is something that I could see being very realistic.
Yeah,
like that is something I could see happening. He rushed for 750 yards basically like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He easily could have an 800-yard type season, and like that could easily be second on the team, right? Like
Brandon Wimbush in 2017.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. So I think that's one that I think is not the hottest, but the most realistic. The Cahoon one is pretty hot, considering when you look at like the depth chart at linebacker.
Yeah.
But I like Bodie Cahoon's a really good athlete. I know that obviously people have seen him. He's a lacrosse guy, and anyone who's seen him like move in lacrosse, like the dude he's a very fluid athlete, and I think he's got to learn how to play linebacker, but he also could be like one of these guys that no one is kind of talking about as, because, you have KVA in the class, and, him and like Teddy Rizak, they're projectable athletes rather than guys that are like, I think ready-made prospects. But Bodie Cahoon is someone I wouldn't shock me if he ended up being a Viper. Like, he is one, he's got really good size, and he's going to get quicker, and he's just like that athlete, right? Like I could easily see him being a guy, kind of fits that later on. He's one of those guys that I'm going to be like really interested to see what they kind of do with him when he gets to campus and where that is. Because there is, people have said like, I don't know what's going to happen with Viper next year because they're thinking about the depth and all that. And obviously, Logan Thomas is the only Viper in the class. But Cahoon to me is like that is a perfect example of a guy who could do that, especially when it's like you have so many good young linebackers with like 3-4 years eligibility left.
Yeah.
That would be the one where it's like, okay, I don't know if that could happen. Like he could play in the NFL, but I don't know if he's going to be a guy who's going to be like this multi-year starter at linebacker just because of what they have. But maybe he's a multi-year starter Viper. I don't know. Like I don't. We'll see. So I always like those guys that are just athletes that really have that kind of just natural twitch and stuff too.
Yeah.
That I'm excited to kind of watch him over the next few years.
Like Kanu Kia, who are really big on. Caleb Collins, another hot take. Micah Gilbert is second in wide receiver room in catches. This would almost be a bad thing, to be honest. Like,
I think
I don't know.
Be a terrible thing.
Yeah, because it portends not good things for the people supposed to be ahead of him.
This is Brandon Marcello's right, like kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, he would actually be.
Yeah, like he's a good player, but he's not like he should not be leading the room in second in catches. That should not be a thing. People would have to get hurt. People would have to.
Michael Floyd was second on the team in catches.
Yeah, it'd be kind of like, honestly, if like DeVaris Daniels as a freshman was second on the team in catches. Like DeVaris Daniels ended up being a very good player, not ready as a freshman. You know, it's one thing to be toasting, you know, Micah Bell. It's another thing to be doing it and then ones in real games. All right, I think. Oh, wait. Blayberg says, hot take, Greg would sign Sean Taylor over Michael Vick to Notre Dame. I mean, I love R.I.P. Sean Taylor. Love Sean Taylor. Oh, man. If there would be no bigger – I mean, it would be like Kyle levels of standing if Sean Taylor was at Notre Dame. Oh, man, what a talent he was. What an absolute talent. Gosh, my goodness. So, yeah, I would, even though Michael Vick was obviously a very good player as well. All right, we're going to end it there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please hit the like. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you know whatever it is. We are going live, which is likely to be next Tuesday, barring some kind of big news. So we'll talk to you then. Have a good weekend, everyone. Keep hitting and hustling.